Online security starts with a click. NordVPN encrypts your internet traffic and hides your IP and virtual location. NordVPN helps protect you against bandwidth throttling from internet providers, where ISPs slow down your internet to get you to upgrade. NordVPN allows you to switch your country's IP address to access Netflix, Disney+, YouTube Premium, etc. in other countries for cheaper prices. NordVPN offers unparalleled browsing security and protection from hacking of personal data. Get your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/5RSN or use the promo code 5RSN to get a discount on your NordVPN plan plus one additional month for free and a bonus gift at checkout. All of this is completely risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. NordVPN.com/5RSN or use the promo code 5RSN and start saving with the world's leading VPN provider, NordVPN. Are you a South Florida property owner with an insurance claim? Are you dealing with water, mold, or fire damage? Looking for a reputable, fully licensed, insured, and certified contractor? Water Cleanup of Florida is here for you 24 hours a day. When a disaster strikes in your home or business, you need specialized, fast, and reliable services. Water Cleanup of Florida understands the impact and stress an unexpected disaster may cause. With over 62 years of combined experience, Michael, Robert, and Eric and their team is prepared to handle any size disaster. The guys are born and raised in South Florida, so changing the narrative on the way contractors conduct business in South Florida is extremely important to them. Their objective is to make cleanup and insurance claim process painless and hassle-free. Water Cleanup of Florida is also a licensed building contractor, so they provide the A to Z service, one-stop shopping that busy homeowners and business owners require. There's no need to bring in other contractors. They will handle it all for you. Call or text them anytime at 561-408-7835 for immediate assistance. The number again, 561-408-7835. Water Cleanup of Florida. This show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a revolutionary new daily fantasy game whereby you pick 2, 3, or 4 players to go over or under their fantasy point projections, and if you're correct, you win. Pick 2 or more players from the same sport or league, or go cross leagues for your parlay. Use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, 5, and receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. But first, sign up at prizepicks.com to start winning today. Sports betting season is in full force. You need a sportsbook with integrity and longevity like BetUS. You may already know this, but BetUS has been pioneers in the sportsbook industry for almost 3 decades, thriving and paying their loyal customer base. That is BetUS.com. They have loads of bonuses. Join now or call 800-69-BET-US. That is 800-MY-BET-US. And you will receive a 125% sign-up bonus by using the bonus code 5. That's the word 5, F-I-V-E. They also have re-up and referral bonuses as well. Follow my lead and open an account with BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS. This show is brought to you by Lewis Peters State Farm, agency representing the #1 auto and home insurer in the United States for more than 60 years combined experience in the insurance industry. Local agents that understand South Florida's unique market. You have access to them 24/7, walk-in, call-in, click-in through lewispeters.com. You can find them online on social media at SF Agent Peters, or you can call at 305-275-5585. Remember, lewispeters.com.
Welcome to 3 Yards Per Carry, a podcast covering the Miami Dolphins and the NFL. Now, here's your hosts, Chris, Alf, and Simon.
And we're on. Welcome to another 3 Yards Per Carry. I'm Alfredo Arteaga. Chris Kaufman is here with me. Simon Clancy is somewhere on the streets of Los Angeles, and I'm kind of afraid for his safety because
I think he's in a stairwell. I think he's in a stairwell right now.
Is he armed?
No.
Okay, that's a problem.
That is a problem.
As always, we are brought to you by Manscaped. And if you can tell, I'm going to have some things to say. And Manscaped.
Not about Manscaped.
Not about Manscaped. They're fabulous, by the way. Okay. 20% off your entire order if you use the promo code 5RSN. And we'd like to welcome another sponsor to the show, NordVPN. You heard them at the top of the show. They're a new sponsor. Take advantage of that as well. Promo code there is also 5RSN. Okay. Now, they made this man, Zach Thomas, do the entire goddamn media tour this week. He did 2 podcasts, including one that was absolutely unlistenable for the NFL. They did this to Andre Johnson, by the way. What was kind of a tell to me was that Andre Johnson only did the podcast, but Zach Thomas did not only the podcast, he did like their panel, and he did like their live show. So he was basically on all of this stuff. I saw Leroy Butler play. I saw Richard Seymour play.
Of course.
I saw Bryant Young play. I'm kind of old. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I noticed.
None of those guys could hold a fucking candle to Zach Thomas as a player. None of them. Not even close. They don't even belong in the same sentence with Zach Thomas.
You don't think
This
Richard
class,
Seymour?
Richard Seymour was a fabulous player, but I guess congratulations, Christian Wilkins. In 12 years, you'll be in the Hall of Fame. Richard Seymour was a system defensive tackle. He was fine. Yeah, he was a really good player, but this is the Hall of Fame. This is not the Hall of great system defensive tackles. You know what I mean?
The Hall of pretty good.
Yeah, the Hall of pretty Bryant Young. Excuse me, Bryant Young. Okay, Bryant Young. Who else made this horseshit place in Canton?
Let's see. Cliff Branch.
He was on nice highlights. I kind of know his career. He was one of the first deep threats. He played on a team that had a legitimate number one wide receiver, Fred Biletnikoff, at the time, who actually did move the chains and was a much, much better player. Cliff Branch was Deshaun Jackson. So congratulations, Deshaun Jackson, for making the Hall of Fame in 2028. Who else made this sham of
Leroy Butler?
I already mentioned him. I'm not even going to mention him because, come on.
Yeah, you're like, no, you're like.
Congratulations, Rashad Jones, on making the Hall of Fame in 2026. Who else made this thing?
McAnally,
an official. Yeah, okay.
No,
forget him. Vermeil
was it?
Kind of deserving.
Vermeil made it. Vermeil made it.
Deserving.
Vermeil can make. I get it. I get it on Vermeil. Vermeil had to make it at some point.
Yeah. I understand Vermeil. Vermeil, I get that one.
Yeah.
Anybody else on this thing?
Well, I also like I get Sam Mills. Like, I kind of get Sam Mills.
Sam Mills was a great player, man. But I will say this about Sam Mills. Look, off the top of my head, okay, so I'm not looking anything up. He played on a linebacking core that had Ricky Jackson. I believe Ricky Jackson is in the Hall of Fame, isn't he?
I don't know that, actually.
Okay, I could check. Pat Swilling, okay, and Ricky Vaughn, or
That's right.
Maurice Vaughn.
Right. I remember that.
Okay.
It wasn't Ricky Vaughn?
Was it Ricky Vaughn?
I thought it was a Ricky Vaughn.
It was the Dome Patrol. Let me get the names of all the guys.
You might have to look that up.
Okay, the Dome Patrol, Ricky Jackson. Ricky Jackson is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Vaughn Johnson is the guy that I was thinking about.
Vaughn Johnson. Okay. Vaughn Johnson.
Okay. Really, really good player. Okay. 4-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All Pro. Okay. Really, really good player. That guy could run the lanes, and he was a big, big hitter. Fun to watch. Okay. Pat Swilling. Also, no, he's not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He fell short, but he's in the College Football Hall of Fame. He was a 2-time All Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler. Really, really nice player. Sam Mills was a very, very, very good player.
Yeah. No complaints on Sam Mills from me.
No complaints on Sam Mills.
Although you could argue that, like, with Sam Mills making it, that's why, maybe.
He's a 5-time Pro Bowler and a 1-time All-Pro on a team that I just told you the guys. All those guys made the same amount of Pro Bowls, and one of them was a Hall of Famer in Ricky Jackson. And their careers spanned together. Sam Mills, rest in peace, great player. Also was a really good player for Charlotte, if you remember, for Carolina when he went to as an he was an expansion draft pick actually. When the Saints cut him,
oh yeah,
played there 2 years and was actually pretty good for Carolina. Sam Mills can't hold Zach Thomas's jockstrap with a forklift. Okay, just different levels. It's different levels to this. Sam. What's the name of I'm kind of angry right now, so I'm forgetting names.
I can tell.
Is it Patrick Willis, the good 49ers middle linebacker that retired early?
Yes.
He's better than Sam Mills. So I guess he should be looking forward to the Hall of Fame.
Perhaps.
Patrick Willis.
You know who else?
Who?
Tony Baselli.
Oh, fuck him. Like, seriously.
That's right. That's right.
And we talked about this.
Now you're on. We did talk about this.
Baselli, you're fine for like a 3-year stretch. Was absolutely spectacular. Okay, great
or
player.
Even longer than that. I mean, he was great, but I just don't think you. I don't know. Like it just that's not enough for me. But
it's just not.
But I thought somebody brought up. I think somebody brought up like.
Oh, by the way, I am going to drop the mic on this one. Patrick Willis, absolutely. Guy only played 7 years. Guess what? 7 Pro Bowls, 5 All Pros, first team All Pros, 5.
Oh yeah, he's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and evidently he's going to go ahead of Zach Thomas. I guess Zach Thomas is just going to, he's just not going to make it.
He's just not going to make it. But
they're not going to put him in.
Somebody brought up, I think, and it might have been an OnlyFans, like when I brought up, I made my argument against Baselli, and they were like, yeah, but what about Dwight Stevenson? I was like, oh well, did Dwight have what's that short?
Well, here's the thing about Dwight.
It was only from 80 to 87. I mean, it's 8 years.
Yeah, but Dwight Stevenson gets in on sympathy and because of one thing and one thing only. Marty Lyons flat out cheap shotted him in a Monday Night Football game and ended his career.
Yeah.
And when his career ended, he was first team All Pro, and it ended at the age of 30. Okay. And remember, this was 1987. Okay. 1987, we didn't have medicine like we do today. If you tore ACL, MCL, if you tore every single ligament in your knee.
Did we have medicine
they basically
in 1987, Uncle Alf?
Yeah, I think in 1987, if you tore every ligament in your knee like Dwight Stevenson did at the age of 30, mind you, in a season where he was first team All Pro, by the way, okay, they basically just took you out back and shot you and said, you're worthless. You're a worthless human being. You can't do anything else with the rest of your life. You're done. Get out of here. So he gets a sympathy vote on that end, okay? He didn't deserve what Marty Lyons did to him. All right? It was an interception, for fuck's sake. Marty Lyons has to cut the center. Like, come on.
But you don't get in the Hall of Fame on a sympathy like that.
Well, but the guy was.
I'm just saying.
The guy was, the best center in football year in and out as he played.
I think he was. I think he was All Pro his last 4 years, and Pro Bowl his last 5 years.
Yeah.
But still, that's fair case to be made. Like if he can get in, then Tony Baselli can get in. I agree with that.
Yeah, and the thing about Dwight Stevenson as well is that he's one of these few guys where he plays center and nobody usually notices. The only thing you notice about the center is when he gives you a bad snap from shotgun. Right. But Dwight Stevenson was one of those guys that you actually watched play and you're like, whoa, like this is like actually fun to watch. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He was also Walter Payton Man of the Year, so that goes into. and he was also a college football Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
And Bear Bryant think about it. It's Bear Bryant, all right? Bear Bryant called him the best football player he ever coached. So he comes in with all those accolades, and then you see Marty Lyons cheap shot him in a Monday Night Football game in a year where he's first team All-Pro. I think he gets a pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he gets a pass. Sam Mills getting in ahead of Zach Thomas is just all kinds of hilarious. It just is. It's hilarious. It really is.
So you're not a big fan.
Sam Mills is a fine football player. A very good football
you're not
player.
Not a big fan of the overall outcome here. Is what
Nah. This year, when they do the induction ceremony, I'm turning my back.
Turning your back.
Yeah, to
my
Hall TV. Of Fame. And I'm gonna film it too, and I'm gonna put it on Twitter. I'm gonna turn my back to the TV as they're inducting these guys.
Turning my back to the TV.
I'm outraged. Oh boy, this is bad. This is bad. Like it's getting worse next year, right? You understand that Andre Johnson didn't get in this time.
So, yeah, that's a little weird.
Look, I'm usually. I've always felt like living my life this way was better. Being like kind of optimistic. You know what I mean? I like to err on the side of optimism instead of pessimism. But I think Zach Thomas is fucked here.
Do you think he's fucked? Really?
Yeah, this doesn't look good. He's losing eligibility soon. He's going to be one of these old people that get inducted when they're dead or something like that. Like it's going to be the year 2058, and he's going to be an afterthought. Oh yeah, guess what? Zach Thomas is in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to show grainy footage of him running around intercepting Steve McNair, and who knows? Hopefully we're alive by then. But
hopefully we're alive, but probably not.
But I don't know. I don't want to be pessimistic about this thing. This doesn't look good. I'm looking at these classes coming up. It's going to get stacked pretty soon. And I don't know. When does he lose eligibility? Because
lose eligibility. Can you do that?
Yeah, you go to the senior committee where they don't vote you in with the modern guys anymore. Like that's how Vermeil got in. So I don't know. When does that happen? How about this? Who cares? We introduced a new coach today.
We did.
Right? So we'll have next year to get all pissed off about this once again, because next year is supposed to be a loaded class.
And pissed off we will.
So we're gonna just shake our fist at the TV screen next year. It's gonna be again. Okay, so it doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good for the foreseeable future, and it's a shame because he's a great guy, and he was a fabulous football player, one of the best players in the history of this franchise. But let's move on to the second greatest coach in the history of this franchise, Mike McDaniel. He was introduced today, and I don't know.
Second greatest.
Yeah, I'm thinking 4 or 5 Lombardi trophies is not out of the question.
That's conservative.
In about a 22-year career, I'm gonna call it 22 years.
22 years.
232 wins. How's that sound?
Sounds.
Am I getting ahead of myself or no?
No, I think you're right on schedule here.
6 Super Bowl appearances, 4 wins.
Oh, we have an update from
Oh boy.
Sorry. Are you seeing Simon's update?
I'm not seeing Simon's update. Is it on OnlyFans?
It is on OnlyFans, folks. So I've been locked out of my house in Hermosa Beach. I'm downstairs having a beer with my neighbors. The house owner is Josh Rosen.
Oh God, this night was doomed from the beginning.
This is where Simon made his mistake.
Yes, we were doomed from the beginning. Josh Rosen. Wow, he has that much money, huh? Houses on Hermosa Beach.
Josh Rosen can't even complete an Airbnb rental.
Be awesome. Tell Simon to sue Josh Rosen. Yeah.
This is amazing.
That is amazing. Josh Rosen really is the owner of the house. Wow.
Simon, why did you do that?
Like, he had to have known that from the beginning, right? He probably thought it was cute, right? He probably thought, this is great. Josh Rosen, like, this is a story. Look what happened to him.
Exactly. This is cute. This is a good story. Look what happened. You're stuck in a stairwell. Well, he was in a stairwell until he's having beer with a neighbor, but Josh Rosen's neighbor.
What we need is for Josh Rosen to show up now. That's what we need. Yeah. Oh,
you know what?
boy.
Josh Rosen is probably inside in the hot tub. And he just doesn't want to let Simon in.
Locked out of his house in Hermosa Beach. So yeah, man, Josh Rosen, I guess it pays, man. First round picks, quarterback in the NFL. It's a good jobs. Breaking news. They're good jobs, huh?
from potential franchise quarterback to deadbeat Airbnb landlord.
The slumlord.
Airbnb slumlord.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this. All right, let's put away the disappointment and Simon's misfortunes on Hermosa Beach. Or is it Hermosa? Hermosa. So it's Hermosa Beach.
It's Hermosa Beach.
Yeah, which means beautiful beach. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's nothing like in Spanish.
I wonder if Simon thinks it's beautiful right now.
Yeah, being locked out for 5 hours in Los Angeles, or I'm sorry, Hermosa Beach. Yeah, not a good idea. All right, everybody took something different from this press conference. I found it endearing. I did like a couple of his answers. Just overall, what did you feel? We're going to get into some of his answers, but overall, and then we're going to get into some of this coaching staff that's trickling in by the second, and the great controversy. Oh my God, they canned Gerald Alexander. We're going to get into that as well.
Yeah, that's true. Huh?
But overall, what did you think? You saw the press conference. Your takeaways.
I hate these press conferences. I'm gonna like be 100% honest. I like deep down in my soul, like, I try really hard to be a nice guy a lot of times, but I feel like I'm probably not really. And like deep down in my soul, I just have so much hatred in my heart in general, and for particularly for press conferences like these. I just don't like them. They're full of shit, just absolute, just hogwash, and like, saying words just to say words, and let's try and inspire people with things that are just not all that inspiring, and so I'm just setting a backdrop anyway. My expectations are low for this kind of press conference, and I don't think I've seen an opening press conference for a Miami Dolphins head coach that ever really impressed me. I can't remember if I watched Nick Saban's opening press conference, but I could actually see myself being somewhat impressed by that one. But whether it be Joe Philbin or Tony
breaking
Sperano.
News. My wife just sent me a text, and the text just reads, "This is fucking bullshit." So I either did something really, really wrong, or she saw the news that Zach Thomas did not get in.
Or maybe she just found out that Josh Rosen has locked Simon out of his house. But I think that the opening press conferences that I've seen, that'd be Joe Philbin, Adam Gase. I've seen Cam Cameron's. I've seen Tony Sperano's. Tony Sperano's was so awkward where he just kept saying the word "a," over and over again.
No, okay.
Cam Cameron. Yeah, but it was like, he said it a weird way too. It wasn't just K. It was like A, K, A, yay. It was really weird. But anyway, Adam Gase, of course, and we saw his opening press conference with the Jets. That was special.
Yeah, but to be fair, there was a taco. There was a taco floating around.
Taco. There was a flying taco that was
you would keep your poise if there was a flying taco around your head. Of course not.
You would also have crazy eyes if you were on coke a lot. But so anyway, I think that all of these preferences. Cam Cameron, remember he cried like somebody asked him just like the most boring question about his time with Drew Brees ever, and then he just started crying.
Which is the worst thing you can do when the wound is still open from like 3 years earlier, right?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, it was just like, because Drew Brees was he's so special to me, but seriously, like this wasn't so in this press conference, we saw actually a point at which it was clear that I was like, oh God, he's gonna break down, because Mike McDaniel started getting emotional, talking about like his wife and talking about the things that they've been through together, and that they've been a long way. They've got a long way more to go, and you saw some emotion on his face. But then you kind of think about that in a minute, and you think about what he's dealt with in terms of alcohol addiction, and he went to he did go to rehab for that in I believe it was 2016 in Atlanta. And so he's battled that, and so I think some of that might have been dancing around behind his eyes a little bit, and you kind of get it.
Mhm.
But I mean, Cam Cameron, you're just asked, what was it like to work with Drew? How was Drew Brees as a quarterback for you? And it's just, and then the tears start coming down. It's like,
You remember
okay.
Jimmy Johnson's?
No, I don't remember his press conference.
Okay,
Actually.
I remember Jimmy Johnson's press conference. Okay, at the end of the press conference, I thought we had already won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It was that like boisterous and forward looking.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God,
Well,
you got to go back to that press conference.
That's
and the way they
phenomenal.
did it.
I like that because I think I somewhat remember Dave Wannstedt's. But
I don't remember. I don't remember too much about one. I'm trying to forget Dave Wannstedt's.
Wait a minute. You know what? Did Dave Wannstedt not have one?
I think he was just introduced, and then he said a few words, and that was it. And
yeah, I want to say maybe he didn't have one. I might be confused there.
You got to remember that Dave Wannstedt was already on staff when he got hired. He was the defensive coordinator.
He was already on staff. And they were still going through the issue, whether they're going to get Marino back or not. And so I think he might not have had one. Anyway, I've seen them all, and they all sucked, generally speaking. And I just don't like it. And I kind of joked around on Twitter. I was like, can anybody even imagine Bill Belichick conducting one of these? Like conducting an open press conference. Like, think about the things that McDaniel was saying, and like trying to be inspiring and doing, like, can you imagine Bill Belichick doing any of that whatsoever? The
only guy that used to
I think he'd get up there and he'd be like, I'm here now. Next question.
Yeah, the guy that I used to like coach press conferences. What a segue we're doing here. And trust me, listener, we're gonna get into all of it, okay? But that's a good one. Jerry Glanville, all-time great.
Because he was
insane.
He's insane. I mean, it's like if what's his name Terry Bradshaw started doing press conferences as coach or something.
I remember clearly one of the best, because I used to love those teams. I was a Dolphin fan. I've been a Dolphin fan my entire life, but I used to love watching those Falcon teams because they kind of played schizophrenic football. You know what I mean? They threw it all over the lot, and then they blitzed like crazy. If you remember, like you thought that the Dolphins were zero blitz happy.
Our kind of team.
Yeah, they were like they played crazy ass football. And I remember Jerry Glanville one time doing a press conference, and they asked him, you've gone up against the 49ers, and it hasn't gone too well for you. They actually beat the 49ers to win the division leading up to that week. But they asked him, what's the elixir? What are you going to do? And he was like, well, it's pretty simple. Since I've been here, we've never beaten them. And if I lose to them, I'm probably getting fired in 3 weeks. Which is like, that's the kind of honesty that you never really got. And of course, the guy threw a punch at his defensive coordinator on the sideline. Okay. Like,
I could kind of see McDaniel's press conferences being a bit like Jerry Glanville, to be honest. Like, I think like he's got kind of a lack of filter sometimes. So we'll see. But anyway, low expectations. I hate these press conferences, really hate them. They're almost always awkward. Everybody almost always quotes and starts fawning over quotes and things that a guy says that are really just not special at all. And so I just generally hate them. But that said, there were some good moments. I liked a few of his answers in there, particularly when they got to the Q&A. And generally speaking, I think that he is working on his public speaking, and he's working on being better in front of a microphone and in front of a crowd. But he is good at ordering his thoughts. Like if you were really paying attention to sort of the structure of what he was trying to say, especially if he was answering a question, and he had to, he had a point number one and a point number two, and he kind of ordered them well and expanded upon them, and it wasn't very rambling. It was coherent. And sometimes you're like, wait, did you mean to use that word there? And then you think about it and you're like, yeah, no, that was right. So I think that he's an impressive thinker. He from Yale, and it's not that surprising, I suppose. He had a phenomenal answer about the way he teaches players and the way he connects to players through teaching. I thought it was very heady, and a lot of people, I thought, kind of glossed over it a little bit for sort of the one-liners and stuff like that. But I thought that answer was really heady. I thought that he had a good answer for how do you be a leader of men or be a leader of these players or whatnot. And that's a big question everybody has about him, because they see him as just, some nerdy dude. And he just says it. He said it beautifully. He said that these players are under such pressure, an enormous amount of pressure, that they will listen to anybody with a pulse. Mm-hmm. If they think that they can get them better.
They have to perceive. They have to perceive competence. Is what
right, they have to perceive that you can get them better. But I mean, like they will listen to anybody if they're convinced that this guy can get them better. And so his job and their coach's job is always just to make sure that they can get them better, and get them playing better football. And so I think that's, when you get to the leader of men question, that's it. I've met Kyle Shanahan. I've talked to him, I've been up close with him. I've been up close with several coaches. This whole leader of men thing is bullshit. I mean, I don't know. Kyle Shanahan always struck me as a weenie. And so
I like that you name drop Kyle Shanahan. I'll name drop one. I've met Don Shula and spoken to him on many occasions.
Oh man, he's I imagine him as being sort of a cantankerous old man, but
sweetest old man.
Is
ever.
He really? Okay.
Yeah, although he will give you a look after a while if he's annoyed.
Depends on when you meet him, I suppose.
I guess.
But no, I think that this leader of men thing is bullshit. You don't have to be some gravel-throated mouth breather to inspire guys. And I think you said it best. The war analogies are just so far overdone in football.
Yeah.
That I think that he had a good answer on how you actually lead them, and that's by doing your job and being the guys who do the research and being the guys who lay down the tape and show these players how to get better and how to perform well. And then that's basically how you lead them. So he had some good answers there. Otherwise, like I said, I could take or leave these press conferences, these opening press conferences in particular, for the most part. But there were some good nuggets in there.
Yeah, I learned a few things, and shout out to Travis Winfield, MiamiDolphins.com. We kind of know him. We've known him for a very, very long time.
Kind of know him. I think we've known him for a really long time.
Yeah, he could be our son, essentially.
Okay.
Well, he could be my son. I think he's young enough, isn't he? Or no?
Yes, he is. I think he's young enough to be your son.
Okay. Is he?
I think so. Yeah.
Has he hit 30?
No, he's not 30. He's not 30.
Okay, then he can be. Well, he did a fabulous job.
He could absolutely. He cannot be my son. I don't think.
Maybe.
Oh, come on.
How old are you again?
I just turned 40, Alf. Come on. I'm not that bad.
I don't know. How old is he? How old is he? That's a good question.
He's definitely in his mid-20s, I think.
Well, that let's not play, how old is Travis Wingfield? We could just ask him online.
Actually, I'll just text him.
Yeah, text him and find out how old he is. Tell him that he came up on the podcast today.
All right, I'll DM him right now.
But he did a fabulous job in his sit down with Mike McDaniel, and I was enjoying it. I believe it's on. You could get it on YouTube. Miami Dolphins YouTube account. You could see the interview there. They have it on video. I listened to it first. I didn't see it on video. Actually, I haven't sat down to see it on video. So maybe the video is a different experience. But it was a great. I'm not going to rehash the entire interview, but he said something that was really interesting where Mike McDaniel said that, and I can elaborate on it. He said that he does a thing called Around the League where he breaks down situations and he has his team go over those situations all around the league. You know how many times I've had coaches tell me that they don't give a crap what's going on around the league, and that all they do is they have the advanced scouts deal with all that stuff, and that he wants his team singularly focused on the opponent of that week and the opponent of the following week. Well, this guy's different.
Yeah.
And I find that completely refreshing. I never understood why, I would ask my players, are you a football junkie? Like, are you going to watch the Super Bowl? Are you going to watch the championship games? The guys that go out on championship Sunday and are, playing golf, like, I don't want those guys. Hopefully Tua didn't do that, by the way, because then somebody will take me.
That's a sore subject, Alf. We were just talking about this on OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's a sore subject. Yeah, Tua, stop playing golf, man. All right, you're gonna make us look bad. All right, stop playing golf. Go on a field somewhere, even if it's just throwing it into the ground. Who gives a shit? As long as they see you in shorts, people are gonna be happy.
I mean, nobody played more golf than Dan Marino, but still,
yeah. Come on, let's face it. But yeah, I want my guys to be football junkies. I want my guys, as soon as they're eliminated, to watch every single playoff game. See what it looks like. Sometimes when you see what it looks like, you pick up something. If you watch all those football games and you pick up just one thing that's useful next season, I think it was worth it. And this guy, as I am told, really, really pays attention to what's going on around the league and wants his players to pay attention to what's going on around the league, and wants his players to be intimately knowledgeable of their division, their conference, their league. And I think that's just a great sign. And oddly enough, I know that there's people listening right now saying, oh, I'm pretty sure a lot of coaches do this. I've talked to a lot of coaches that don't give a crap. That they think that that's for the pro personnel department and the advanced scouts. And I just want my team worried about the team we're playing on Sunday. You know the old cliche. Worry about what's in front of you. Well, no, this guy likes to look at the bigger picture. I thought that was a refreshing answer in that interview with Travis Wingfield, which was interesting. He was also asked the fuck, marry, kill question. I don't know if you saw that part. Did you see that?
Did he?
Yes, he got asked that.
When did this happen?
By a fan of 3YPC, Josh Moser, who works for WSVN. Although, he cleaned it up. He wasn't going to say, hey, coach, fuck, marry, kill. He asked, kiss, marry, kill is what he.
Kiss, marry. Did he really?
Yes. And they asked him about the tree, his coaching tree, and he said, kiss. What did he say? He said, kiss. What was?
Come on, you got to get this right. You can't.
Yeah, let me look it up. I know who he said about the other two.
By the way, we were both very wrong about Travis.
Really?
I'm old. Because I how you're old when you still think of somebody as young and they're not really that young. Like, I'm old. Because Travis is not in his 20s.
Really?
Yeah, no, he's not.
Wow.
So yeah.
How old was he?
Well, I don't know if I should say it like on our podcast. Like,
okay.
Is that like faux pas? Like what what is that? Not that I feel like he's competition or anything. I'm proud of the guy, actually.
By the way,
But,
breaking news, Miami Dolphins have released a statement from Zach Thomas. It was an honor to once again be among the finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. No, it wasn't. I want to congratulate this year's class. No, you don't. They were all great players, kind of, and are each deserving of their gold. No, they're not, Zach. I also want to thank the Miami Dolphins fans who continue to be supportive. You guys are the best. Oh, most of us are. All right. He asked okay, he wants to kiss Matt LaFleur, marry Kyle Shanahan, and he wants to kill Sean McVay.
He wants to kill Sean McVay.
Yes.
Really?
And he says, well, I want to kiss Matt LaFleur because he spent the most time in the meeting rooms with him, and he wants to marry Kyle Shanahan because he's been with him his entire career, and he wants to kill Sean McVay because he keeps losing important games to him.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, he was asked that question. So
nice.
Yeah, we got a lot out of this.
I thought that actually Travis's interview, I thought it was a great interview. And Travis, a lot of people know where Travis came from and why we talk about like knowing him for a very long time and seeing each other like grow and get bigger in podcasts and stuff like that, and seeing him join the Dolphins and everything. At heart, I really think that Travis is still like sort of a message boarder that wants to know things that he's not supposed to know. Just like basically every single one of our OnlyFans subscribers, and so like I love watching him interview Mike McDaniel because he comes up with good questions, yes. Travis does, and I think that that's an issue sometimes that I don't see great questions sometimes from people that are, especially in the past, that have worked for the Dolphins, the MiamiDolphins.com. Anyway, and McDaniel doesn't have a great filter, at least not yet. So I was kind of watching that interview. I was like, is he going to drop stuff? Is he going to drop stuff by accident? Is Travis going to try and like accidentally coax stuff out of him because he can't help himself? And then like McDaniel's going to accidentally drop stuff because he can't help himself. Like, it was just like, it was perfect combination. And I don't think too much of that happened, but I thought that it was interesting. Like McDaniel definitely tries to make it clear every time he can that he has coached every single position on the offense. And he made it clear again, he has run the wide receivers room. We know that he's coached the running game and been involved with offensive.
By the way, let me interrupt you for a second. He kind of tells you his, and I hate guys that tell you the resume every 5 seconds. He kind of tells you the resume without telling you the resume, which is
he alludes
a great quality, right?
He alludes to it a lot. And and I think that the other thing that he said that was interesting, he was asked to address the defense, and he wasn't really asked directly, I think, that in this opening press conference today. But with Travis asked him. And he had some interesting things to say, and that he started out with basically the line, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Mm-hmm. And so he kind of had a change emphasis when he was talking about the defense, and like, how it needs to, like you said, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And so I thought that there, thematically that felt like a change call. And so, we're speculating about, is Josh Boyer going to be the defensive coordinator? What's going to go on with defense? Stuff like that. I felt like change was in the offing, like when I watched that interview, and that's kind of one of the big tidbits that dropped out of that. The interview today, I don't think he let up anything that he wasn't supposed to, but you definitely got a clearer picture of what he views himself to be as far as a coach, what he views his coaching staff to be in their relationship with the players, which is to say, almost sort of like equals. They're equals in this. and their job is to do the things the players don't do, so that the players can go ahead and do things that the coaches can't do. And so I think that I thought it was interesting to hear him talk about theories about how to connect with people from a learning standpoint, and teaching them theories about how to keep their attention span and things like that. So yeah, he had some good ones there.
Yeah, he even talked about how he personally would edit videos to to try to retain players' attentions, which is it's a great answer. It really is. What did you make of the of course it was professionally done, but he called our starting quarterback bro 3 times in a phone call that was obviously staged, right? Or do you believe that was absolutely legitimate? Well, I'm not saying that he didn't talk to anybody. I'm saying
I have a different perspective on.
I think he did talk to Tua, by the way, for all you people out there putting out the conspiracy theories. And by the way, somebody was just hilarious. Somebody put my picture in Tua's face on the phone. So
I thought somebody was great. Do you remember the picture of his daughter looking up at him while he was signing that ceremonial contract?
Yes.
I think somebody superimposed Tua's smiling face from the FaceTime.
Yes.
Up on his daughter's head there, and looking up at Mike McDaniel as he's signing but anyway, was that staged? I don't think it was staged. I think it's
what do you make of it? It was really, really.
I mean, okay, is the phone during the draft when the player is getting called from the team that's about to draft him, and he's being told that he's going to be part of the team, and then the coach says some words to him. Do you consider that staged? Do you consider that, because it might be something that Tua might have known that the guy was going to call beforehand, just to make sure that he's at the phone, but that doesn't mean it's staged to me, it's so, and somebody decided too. Somebody made the decision, hey, we're still on the flight, but hey, let's call Tua. Let's see if we can get Tua on the phone. And then somebody calls Tua, hey, are you there? And then it's like, hey, Mike McDaniel wants to talk to you. And we got the camera in the background. And McDaniel actually even had to tell him at one point, hey, oh yeah, we got the camera.
Yeah, so Tua wouldn't curse or I don't believe he does. I don't think he curses, by the way.
No, I don't think he does anyway. But yeah, so was that staged? I don't think that was staged. I think I think that from that moment it's going to be interesting, because what we've heard and all the signaling has been about recommitment to Tua this offseason. We're not playing around with the Deshaun Watson crap anymore. You're not going to see them going after a Jimmy Garoppolo or something like that, contrary to some speculation. Everything that we've been signaling is this is about Tua. This is about bringing a guy that can give him the best chance he's going to have. And, and it's okay, well, now we'll know, right? Because this guy is coming in, and it kind of makes me think all the way back to before even Tua was drafted, and you're seeing articles come out, about hey, Tua met with the Dolphins and he was really put off because somebody in the meeting acted like he didn't even want him, and I'll give you 3 guesses who that was.
There's video of draft night. The guy that calls Tua is Chris Greer, and Chris Greer says, happy to have you, this and that, very boilerplate and very basic stuff.
He is nothing if not boilerplate, Chris Greer. His entire existence is boilerplate.
And by the way, I don't get that look, man. That suit with the cap. By the way, the nice cap, the white cap with the white logo and just the aqua outline. Beautiful cap. But why does he have to keep wearing a baseball cap? Is he self-conscious about his hairline like I am?
I cannot say.
He has to be, right? Because he's constantly wearing a ball cap. But anyway. All you gotta do is just go back to the video, right? And what happened the next day when Brian Flores called Raekwon Davis? He was giddy like a schoolgirl, remember?
Oh God, yeah. Wasn't he?
He was like, happy to have you. Can't wait to have you down here for rookie camp.
Laughing, he's got his kids running around we got Raekwon Davis. I mean, Seriously, yeah. And with Tua, it's like,
Hey, how you doing?
he was off-putting from the get, and it wasn't. And again, I say this, everybody's gonna, oh, that means he didn't want Tua, he wanted Herbert. No, not true, not true. You know who Brian Flores wanted? He wanted not Herbert.
Yeah,
whoever was not Herbert, anybody but Justin Herbert. He was.
And the theory that was out there, and it's been corroborated by a couple of people. A couple of people have told me the same thing: is that he wanted a big person, and then possibly Jordan Love later on.
Yeah, he was a big Jordan Love fan, but he knew that 5 was too high for that. So he wanted not Herbert, and so I think that's why the eye fell on Tua at 5. So, but anyway, like off-putting from the start, like right from the jump, before the draft, after the draft, and then you think about his rookie year and how he's just very suddenly, with very little warning, thrust into the starting job against, thrown to the wolves essentially against. We were bad at the time. And they threw him in against the Rams, who were like the best team in the league at the time. And we had supposedly no chance in that game. And heading into that game, like everybody was like, wait, did you just bench Ryan Fitzpatrick? Like nobody saw that kind of me. Chan Gailey found out about it on TV. Like he was like, there was no signaling of this beforehand. Like he had no idea what he was even thinking, what Flores was even thinking. So he gets thrown in the wolves against the Rams. He does all right. He has a little bit of a slip up against the Broncos and he gets benched, and so the relationships seem to have like just started off bad from the start. And so when you hear stuff about, is Tua a first in last out guy? Is he at home studying the playbook instead of playing golf? That sort of thing. I really believe that Tua at some point started to question whether he was ever going to win with Brian Flores. Like if anything that he was ever going to do was ever going to be good enough for him. And so I kind of wonder if, right away from the jump with Mike McDaniel, you have not only a guy whose explicit job is to schematically get him better, but a guy who his very first phone call as he's being flown on the private jet to the Dolphins facility, his first phone call, FaceTime, is to Tua. He's calling him bro all the time. I mean, he's really laying it on with the guy, like, hey man, we're gonna do great things together. We're gonna, all this stuff. And the commitment is just so thick that you kind of wonder if the only things you're ever going to hear about Tua Tagovailoa's work ethic from now on are going to be like actually really good things. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Tua himself changes a little bit. And I certainly wouldn't be surprised if the on-field product changes a little bit, just because of the better relationship and the and the clarity, the offensive clarity that you have when you have a singular guy, kind of in charge of the offense, making it his vision. And we certainly didn't have that last year.
Yeah, no, and let me say one thing, and I think this will be the last that we'll talk about Mike McDaniel about the press conference, and we're going to get into his staff that's starting to take some shape. But Jimmy Garoppolo's yards per attempt, I don't know if you saw it, but it's kind of inflated. I had a little fun with numbers. That happens for Tua. Tua could have a monster year here coming up. Can you explain it? Because I can't. Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't all that great, but his yards per attempt is insane. Is that just Deebo Samuel running around?
I think it's just Deebo Samuel. And the best,
and George Kittle.
Tua is the guy that got phone call from McDaniel on the way over, but the guy who's going to be jumping up and dancing out of pure joy is actually Jalen Waddle.
Absolutely.
Because if you look through the history of Kyle Shanahan's offenses, when he has a good one, that way, like a guy who can really get open at different levels of the defense and be reliable that way. And Jalen Waddle, I mean, listen, we knew this guy was a deep guy, right? We knew he can just blow the doors off with speed vertically. Like we always knew that, and go up and get it like at the top there. We always knew that. That's not a problem. And we knew that he was a screen guy. You can run after the catch and that sort of thing. But like the fact that he became like I can get open on any number of short routes, kind of guy, that guy. He's basically like a very short distance away from being the infamous number one receiver, the guy who can do everything. And when Kyle Shanahan has had that in his offenses in the past, I mean, go look at the numbers that guys like Andre Johnson and Julio Jones have put up in Kyle Shanahan's offense.
Non-Hall of Famer Andre Johnson, you mean?
Yeah, it's not like Andre Johnson is a Hall of Famer or anything.
And non-Hall of Famer Reggie Wayne, and we're going to get into Curtis Johnson in a little bit, who non-Hall of Famer Reggie Wayne credits with, teaching him how to play the position. So,
but I mean, seriously, you look at it, and it's not just okay. You're like, oh, that's Andre Johnson and Julio Jones, but I mean, also Pierre Garçon with the Washington Redskins. I mean, he had like a 1,400-yard year or something like that with the Redskins one year. You look at it and look at what George Kittle did. George Kittle as a tight end, he had like a 1,300-yard year or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's as a tight end, that's insane. So I think that the guy jumping up for joy is actually going to be Jalen Waddle, because they will feed him the ball, I think, in the passing game. And yeah, the running game is a big emphasis. I get it. With Mike McDaniel, and it's going to be zone, and he's going to outside zone, and they're going to really attack it. And I think that he is going to adapt into his offense a bunch of RPO stuff, because he's adaptable. But yeah, so I think that watch out for those Jalen Waddle numbers next year, man, especially in a 17-game season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see them build this roster on the offensive side of the ball. Of course, on the defensive side of the ball, Gerald Alexander, he's a guy that you figured, man, he has to be safe. He's only been here 2 years. This has been his only NFL job. He's done a pretty good job. Players like him. Fired today. What did you make of that whole episode today? First of all, we didn't even know if he was fired or not. It was explicit in Omar Kelly's tweet. No, he was fired. He was not. Mm-hmm. He did not ask for his release, like some speculated. I speculated, like maybe he did ask for his release. Maybe he wanted another job. Remember, he played for the Jaguars. Maybe, that's not a terrible job. Now you got Doug Peterson. You got to figure that Doug Peterson has some, he has some clout, I would say.
But they hired their defensive coordinator already.
Yeah, but maybe a lateral move was in mind, maybe. And who knows? That was my thinking. Okay. If he shows up in Jacksonville tomorrow as the defensive backs coach, then but no, that's not what happened. Evidently, he was just told, you're not in our plans. Goodbye, Gerald. Your thoughts on that dismissal?
I think that it's a little bit surprising, but it kind of, I think it, let me put it this way. If Vic Fangio is going to be our defense, and I'm not saying he is, but there's speculation around it. If Vic Fangio is going to be the defensive coordinator, he's probably not going to have Gerald Alexander as his defensive backs coach.
No, he's and I guess I could say this on the podcast. I think he would go pretty hard after Christian Parker, which is a defensive backs coach for the Denver Broncos. Although he's under contract, he was there just last year, but he's, I guess he's Gerald Alexander light. You know what I mean? Like he has the same reputation. He's an up and coming star. But why would Denver let that guy go, right?
But it's also fair to say that it's being reported that that Fangio might be interested in taking a consulting role with the 49ers this year. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying he's coming. I'm just so if Fangio's, he's probably bringing his own defensive backs coach. And if you read between the lines of, like Gerald Alexander's wife took to Twitter and was talking about, she was pushing back on the narrative that that the defense got better because Flores took over the play calling from Josh Boyer. She said that, it was because Gerald Alexander went from the sideline to the booth, and he had a lot to do with it. To me, that's, some people are, oh, she's talking dirty about Flores. I don't think that was necessarily true. But one guy that, I probably wouldn't think would like hearing that, like, all about how Gerald Alexander was, the great defensive backs coach, that got the whole defense better by stepping up into the booth, is Josh Boyer, who was the defensive backs coach and became the defensive coordinator. And so I think that whether Josh Boyer is going to take the defensive coordinator job under Mike McDaniel, or it's going to be somebody like Vic Fangio, Gerald Alexander kind of positioned himself as being welcome by neither. And so that could be what's going on in the minds of people inside the building, and why he was ultimately dismissed today. And maybe they just started to worry that, he's not really with us at this point. And so we don't want him to have access to us.
I think that would hold a lot of water if Charles Burks, who is his deputy, and who is a guy I was told specifically, but I was also told Gerald Alexander and Austin Clark, by the way, that those were guys that were safer than not. If Charles Burks is handed the job as defensive backs coach under, I guess, Josh Boyer, I think that speaks volumes, doesn't it? Doesn't it, Chris?
Yeah. I mean, and that at that point it would be, maybe Gerald Alexander picked up his head a little too high. And that's that could have been what ultimately ended him.
All right, but they do have some coaches that are coming in, namely Wes Welker.
Yep.
And
John Embry.
And John Embry. Let's start with John Embry, because he's getting. Is it official? He's getting an assistant head coach title.
I think so. I don't know if it's official.
But he replaces George.
I think it's
Godsey.
official till they announce it. But
he replaces George Godsey, and let me say this: I know a lot of people hate George. They want to assign all the blame to all our problems on offense to George Godsey. John Harbaugh just hired him. I don't think he hires slapdick coaches, right? Does he?
He does not. He is okay. He is one of the best. He might be the best, and one of the best, if not the best that I can think of at putting together staffs consistently in the NFL.
I don't know about that.
I mean,
one.
Godsey is a good coach, I think. I don't know if he's like top of my list if I'm thinking of good offensive coordinators, but I think he was clearly dealt a challenging hand with not only the personnel issues that the Dolphins had with the offensive line, in particular, the running backs, etc., but also this weird co-coordinator thing, but also we have co-coordinators, but now Charlie Fry is the play caller, and then Brian Flores is stepping into the microphone and calling plays too, and then oh no, wait, no, we're going to give the play calling back to George Godsey, and I've heard some things over the months about Godsey and what he wanted to do and what Flores wouldn't let him do, and sort of the butting heads that was happening between those two, and then also with the play calling shenanigans and who is the play caller and how many people are play calling at this point. And it was so challenging. It was just chaotic. And you put that together with the personnel issues. And I heard over the last, couple of weeks to couple of months, those offensive meetings were just shenanigans, like just total shenanigans, because Brian Flores was sticking his nose in there and had a completely different opinion from George Godsey over what what the strengths and weaknesses of the team were, and what the game plan should be. And then, but also, maybe Eric Studsville had a completely separate opinion too, than those two. And so there was just total disagreement. They couldn't even agree on what the strengths and weaknesses of the team were and what they should be doing.
And Brian Flores may or may not have called 2 series this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I think
one of them ended in a touchdown, by the way.
Total disagreement about the very foundation of how we should be calling these games, or how we should be forming these game plans based on the strengths and weaknesses of the team. And so it was just nuts. And George Godsey, I mean, he is off to Baltimore, and I have it on very good authority that he is like, good riddance to first-time head coaches.
Yeah, I would say so.
He is not doing that again. He is not, because he was under Bill O'Brien as a first-time head coach. He was under Matt Patricia as a first-time head coach, and then he was under Brian Flores as a first-time head coach. And he's just like, F this noise. I'm not doing this again.
On John Embry, I guess, 2 things we can say about John Embry. All right. George Kittle absolutely swears by him. And he's coached some really good tight ends to big years. Christian Faria, Daniel Graham, Mercedes Lewis, all had career years. Tony Gonzalez. Do you remember Chris Cooley?
I do remember Chris Cooley.
Okay, big year under John Embry. Jordan Cameron, remember him? That's a name you haven't heard in a while, have you?
I haven't heard that name in many years.
Yes. All of those guys that I mentioned, all of them, career years under John Embry. George Kittle absolutely swears by him. I remember when they brought him up this week that, he's going to come in for the Dolphins. I was like, wait a minute. Because all I remembered was that he was awful at Colorado. And sure enough, I was like, man, I remember that. Did he even win a game at Colorado? Looked up his record. He was 4-21.
Yeah.
That's not good, is it?
He had a 1-11 year there.
Yeah, that's not good. At Colorado?
Pretty bad. But I think the point stands that he's coached all kinds of different tight ends,
Yes,
because when you've coached Christian Faria and like Chris Cooley and then Jordan Cameron and all these
and future Hall of Famer Mercedes Lewis
and Mercedes Lewis and now you've got George Kittle. I said this before. I kept talking about this with respect to Mike Gesicki and whether they're going to keep him or not. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, he's set to be a free agent, but they could probably.
That's an inside joke between me and Simon. Mercedes Lewis. If you look up his numbers are better than every single tight end in the Hall of Fame except like one.
But anyway, I think that he's coached so many different types. I mean, Daniel Graham is a totally different tight end than some of these guys. Tony Gonzalez was a different kind of tight end. Sometimes George Kittle is just George Kittle, and everybody's like, well, who's going to be our George Kittle? And so they're taking a guy like Hunter Long and they're trying to make him George Kittle, or they're looking at Mike Gesicki and they're saying, well, he's not George Kittle. And I think that that's a mistake. And I think you have to look at the past tight ends that have played in this offense, whether it be guys like Jacob Tamme or Owen Daniels, or in Washington they had Jordan Reed. They had Jordan Reed when he really started to go off before he got injured. Or Jordan Cameron. They had Jordan Cameron in Cleveland in 2014. Before that was after John Embry had him in 2013, and then John Embry moved on to somewhere else. He moved on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Kyle Shanahan and his crew had Jordan Cameron in 2014, and that was clearly a very Mike Gesicki like tight end. They've used that kind of tight end before, and John Embry has coached that type of tight end before. So, don't make assumptions. Like what I sense out there is way too much certainty that Mike Gesicki just does not fit, period. And I'm like, we should not act like we know that. We should not act like we know that. It may be the case. I don't know, but we really should not act like we know that, because there's enough evidence of past usage of guys that look like Mike and play like Mike Gesicki in Kyle Shanahan's offense and being coached by John Embry. It actually, Arrow might be up for Gesicki for all we know, being coached by somebody like Embry.
No, I did a lot of film work on the 49ers, man. They like to use some 13 personnel on first down. You don't think that Mike Gesicki could be useful in those sets? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Yeah. So
well, it basically is like it's basically more like 12 personnel or with Mike Gesicki on the field. Because it's more like your 13 personnel has a 12 personnel flair to it when Mike Gesicki is one of those tight ends.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And moving on to just to confirm, and then we're going to talk about the guys that have been in here for interviews. I don't believe Curtis Johnson is a sure thing yet. So let's talk about the sure thing. Wells Walker, that's been confirmed.
That's a strong hire.
Is Wells Walker a Hall of Famer, by the way?
Yes, clearly.
Are you sure? He played for the Dolphins. I don't know. He might be screwed.
Well, I guess that's true. No, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, if Cliff Branch is going to the Hall of Fame, and Tony Baselli's going to the Hall of Fame.
Well, Wes Welker is coming to town. He's back. He didn't have to sell that house in Plantation, so you still have your house there. So it'll be a welcome sight. He only played here, I believe, 2 years, right? Or a year and a half. He was undrafted out of Texas Tech. Do I have that right?
Yes, it was Texas Tech, man. He was a big what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name now? The coach, the famous coach, Texas Tech, Washington State, now. Where is he now? Is he Mississippi State now?
That crazy. He loves Pirates. I keep forgetting his name.
Yeah. Why do we not know this? Mike Leach.
Mike Leach.
He was a Mike Leach. He was a Mike Leach guy.
He's absolutely crazy, but but fun.
Speaking
right?
of like a Jerry Glanville, but but just like Jerry Glanville, if Jerry Glanville were like kind of a sloth.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not great. Okay, he's not well. Let's just say that.
You know what? Fun. He's Jerry Glanville at like 3/4 speed.
Yeah. So Wes Welker, Deebo Samuel actually credits him with getting him into shape for this past season. And if you look at Deebo Samuel's career, it's decent. Then and then this year he's just completely off the page, like almost MVP candidate Deebo Samuel. He credits Wes Welker with some conditioning that he did with him in the offseason. He doesn't have a long track record, but I guess this is arrow up, right? He's one of these young coaches, and he's gonna have the energy to do the job, and he's gonna have some good players, at least one really good player to work with. Any other thoughts on Wes Welker as a hire?
No, I just know that it's interesting that Deebo Samuel was asked who the next Mike McDaniel was, and he said it was Wes Welker, and so the Dolphins got Mike McDaniel, and then they picked up Wes Welker too. so now Deebo Samuel is left with okay, well, who's next Wes Welker?
Deebo Samuel was really effusive with all the praise, man.
He was.
If you like these guys so much, you understand you're a free agent next year, right, Deebo?
True.
Maybe now is a good time to fake an injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what? Maybe Deebo is positioning himself. Maybe he wants to go back to the East Coast.
By the way, quick segue, and then we're gonna get right back into these guys. Jarvis Landry getting cut. Any interest?
Not for me.
Okay, interesting. That's for a future show. I have some interest. Guy plays good football. I kind of like good football players. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it, but not for me.
Not for me. Yeah, he doesn't really fit either. They want speed on. Yeah. They want speed on this team.
I'm not sure that he fits.
All right. Charles London interviewed and then disappeared into the ether. Nobody knows where he's at. Thoughts on him? I don't know too much about him.
I
Like,
don't
you know,
really have many thoughts, quite frankly, on he or Curtis Johnson, whether that's confirmed or not. Curtis Johnson, I've looked at in the past, and I thought that he would make a good candidate to interview. But that doesn't mean I really know him. I know the resume a little bit more. There are people that know him better, that have covered him, that have, et cetera, that really swear by Curtis Johnson. So we'll see on that, but I don't really know too much about either of these guys personally.
Yeah, Charles London played at Duke, was a graduate assistant, worked his way through the NFL as a running backs coach, and then all of a sudden he pops up in Atlanta as a quarterbacks coach. He interviewed for OC, but I would guess that Curtis Johnson, if he's also interviewing, he has a pretty damn good resume. Curtis Johnson. I could see him getting, if he's not, obviously he's not going to be the wide receivers coach, so he could be OC and passing game coordinator. That makes a lot of sense to me. He's also, you kind of want to get an old head in there, somebody who's been seasoned, been around the league for a while. He's also 60 years old. You want to, there's, I don't know, this staff is kind of skewing a little young. Maybe you want a little older guy there like Curtis Johnson. I saw that name and I perked up. I kind of like the hire if it happens. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that.
No, not really.
All right, moving on to the defense. We talked about Vic Fangio. Maybe by this time next week, we will have a defensive coordinator. Is it as simple as maybe Josh Boyer is getting this job? He did interview. That's a fact.
I just hope that we have one by like August, somewhere around there.
So do you think that Josh Boyer gets this job? It's I don't know if it's pointing that way, but or do you think that there's going to be somebody else to get it? Somebody else we don't see.
I think there's somebody. I think there's something in the works there.
Yeah, and it's not clear. It's definitely not clear.
I don't mean like, I mean something other than Josh Boyer in the works. I get the sense they are trying to do something else, trying to go in a different direction. They might, I wonder if they might be taking a blow if Vic Fangio was kind of flirting with them, but now is deciding that he wants to just be a consultant for the 49ers. Like that might be something. Maybe they had that in mind and they were working toward it, and then they got disappointed. I'm not sure. I don't have information on that saying that. I'm just I'm kind of guessing. But I think they're working towards something that's not Josh Boyer. That's my gut feeling.
All right, and I've heard some people say, hey, what about Raheem Morris? Because he's in the Super Bowl on Sunday.
I did find that interesting, really interesting. That when Mike McDaniel got up there and he starts naming names of guys that influenced him over the years. Okay, so I put together the list of all 118 coaches that that Mike McDaniel has coached with in his history, right? So I knew that he had coached with Raheem Morris already, and I know that he's actually coached with Bobby Turner. Like he's coached with Kyle Shanahan, I think a total of like 14 years. And I think that he's coached with Bobby Turner almost as many years as Kyle Shanahan. He's coached with Bobby Turner 11 years. So like when he gets up there and he's talking about, he's thanking the Shanahans, Kyle and Mike Shanahan, he's thanking the LaFleurs, both of them. I know these are guys that that he worked with, and then he talks about Bobby Turner. I'm like, this all makes a lot of sense to me. Bobby Turner has been with him almost as long as Kyle Shanahan. He owes his career to Kyle Shanahan. Mike Shanahan gave him his first job. The LaFleurs, obviously, they all came up together. McVay, I think he mentioned McVay. Then he says, and Raheem Morris. And I thought that was interesting. He's been with Raheem Morris a total of 4 years in his career. He's been in the NFL. We've talked about this before. He's been in the NFL 15 years. Why do you say Raheem Morris and not Robert Saleh? Like Like I'm because he's been with Saleh for 7 years, and Saleh and he were both assistants, working right next to each other, right across from each other. They were both, he was the defense, or Saleh was the defensive assistant. Mike McDaniel was the offensive assistant. And Saleh has said some really great things about McDaniel. And he's like, I don't want him in the division, and stuff like that. But he didn't say Robert Saleh. He said Raheem Morris, and I thought that was really interesting to me. And so I am, that's I'm like, okay, I noted that.
Yeah, and it would make a little sense, I would say. Can you poach him from the Rams? I guess with an upgrade in title, more money.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that they.
I don't know what
unless is what's his contract going to be up? I don't know. No, well, I get. He
it's
only
a
just
second
got
year.
there.
Yeah, it's a second year there. So
no, this is his first year there, isn't it?
Not to 20. Is it 2021 was his first year? So yeah. This is his first year.
I guess this is his first year. I just I don't know. I think that's interesting.
Yeah. All right. You know that they're playing a game on Sunday, right?
No.
Really?
No.
People seem to really care about this thing.
Not really.
Really.
I'm not your football junkie. That's going to be on.
Well, you you can't be my wide receivers coach then.
I am, but I'm not. I am a football junkie, but maybe not the one that you have in mind. That's going to be watching every single game on Sunday.
You see,
I watch it.
Can't coach on my staff.
I watch it later during the week. I go back and review the games. I don't watch them as like a fan. I will watch the Super Bowl, I'm sure, but
yeah,
it's just,
Are you gonna hate watching Burrow and hoping he throws interceptions?
No, I'm kind of buying into the whole thing about we're really cursed and unless Joe Burrow wins the championship for Cincinnati.
Well, he can't win. He can't win. He can't win because if he wins, then good God, man. Dan Marino had to get to the Super Bowl in his second year against. By the way, a lot of our listeners are kind of young, so they don't know this. Dolphins were 14-2 the year they went to the Super Bowl with Dan Marino. You heard that correctly. 14-2. But they ended up playing a road game because they went to Palo Alto, where Stanford Cardinal play. And they played the 15-1 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Dolphins ran into a buzzsaw, and they were a 4-point underdog that day. They got lapped in that game. So
wasn't it? Is that the game? Did Kurt Warner, the running back, did he run all over them? Is that the game that I'm thinking of?
Roger Craig caught a pile of passes and
was it Roger Craig?
Yeah, although they gave the MVP to Joe Montana. But yeah,
which game am I thinking of where Kurt Warner or Kurt wasn't he? He wasn't on the 49ers anyway. He was on.
No, Kurt Warner was on the Seahawks in '83.
Seahawks.
Yeah, that was Marino's rookie year, the divisional round. Kurt Warner had a big game.
Ah, that's right. Okay, that was it.
Yeah. So yeah, the following year, Marino makes the Super Bowl in Joe Burrow's style and runs into a better team. Although his team was 14-2 with the best offense in the history of the sport at the time, by the way, and just ran into a team that was just better. They actually had a good defense, and their offense was not too bad. Their offense was the number 2 ranked offense that season. So yeah, I don't know. Thoughts on the game? Do you have? Who do you think wins? I think it's this is the Rams' year. They're at home. I think it's for them. I think it's going to be close, but I got the Rams like 27-24 in a good one.
Yeah, this seems like a destiny year for them. And I mean they always have reminded me this year. They always have reminded me so much of like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year.
Yeah,
and it just seems fitting. They were put together for this. If there's one guy that I absolutely trust to just show up at that game and be a madman, it's Aaron Donald.
Yes.
Like 1,000%. Like he is not going to have a down game.
Yeah, they're like lining him up at left end. I love that.
It's a bit
the Bengals.
like Bosa.
The Bengals are going to have Isaiah Prince out there trying to block Aaron Donald.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit like, oh God. And it's a bit like Bosa. Remember in that game against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Like if there was one guy playing like an absolute madman every freaking snap, it was Bosa. And they almost won because of him. Like, even though the Chiefs, I think, had them outgunned in so many ways, but yet they almost won. Or the 49ers came actually kind of close in that game because of Bosa.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Maybe the next time we talk to you next week, we'll have a defensive coordinator. We'll have a filled out coaching staff. Maybe not. But a little housekeeping. Next week is the final show of the season. And then we'll move on to the following season. Maybe we'll have a week off after next week. But that's it. There is no more. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to 3 Yards Per Carry. You can subscribe via iTunes, on Podbean, or your usual podcast provider.